Hey there everyone, how's it going? I'm Tharun and this is another cool tutorial about CSS, and in this video we're going to talk about margins and paddings. They're going to be used everywhere. Believe me, you're going to use it everywhere in web development. So let's get started. In the previous video we were talking about this thing, right? The border thing. In this video I just want to show you one little thing, okay, about these borders. The thing is, you could actually shape it up and make it round, okay, using the border radius. So let's just go to style4.css because that is the place where we wrote the styling for this file, right? So within this I would like to show you border radius, and let's just make it to say 30 pixels and save. Look at that, that's way more beautiful, right? It gives those curved edges there, okay. You could also make it 100 pixels, okay, but the thing is they're going to stay the same because the dimension of that is in a rectangular way, right? Suppose you have a square image and you use border radius with a high value, then you're going to get a round image, okay. So this does not only apply to these paragraphs and headings but also apply to images, okay. So all of the properties which you're applying for elements, you just experiment it with any of the element or any of the tag you want, they would work perfectly, okay. And let's just continue on with what we were about to do in this video. We're going to talk about the margins and paddings. I've created a new HTML file and new CSS. The reason why I do this is I want you all to have the code, okay, there on GitHub, so that you could just clone them and you could like follow along with me in each chapter, or just keep it as a reference for later. And now the first thing is, let's just change this to index5.html pretty quick. And now I would like to write a div here, okay, with the ID of say container, okay, and close the div. And now within the div I would like to give another div with an ID of say container in. Okay, we have that. Now what I would like to do is open up the style sheet responsible for this, that is style5.css. Close this up, save it, okay. And I think we've not linked it up. Let's just link it quickly. So I've linked it there. Next let me just quickly give it a background. It's an ID, right? So a hash container. Okay, we have the container. Let me just give it a background color of say BBB. Okay, so the thing is, a background color is not sufficient. You need to mention the width and height, 500 pixels, and let's just see, okay, height of 500 pixels. Okay, we have the div there. And another one, let's just give, okay, cool. I have a container in, which is this one, the darker one, and a container which is this big one holding this one. So first things first, let's just center line this one. The way you do that is using the margin. You could do that, okay. So just go here in the container and use margin auto, and you see that it'll be center line. You could do the same thing for this. You use margin auto and it'll bring it to the middle horizontally, okay. So that to auto align things you could use margin, but sometimes they don't work. That is because the width of the div actually would be spanning heavily and you wouldn't notice it. But if you notice them and if you know how things work, then you could use this margin auto to center align things, okay. So And other thing is using margin. We have actually used margin throughout the series. Even in HTML series we have used them. By this time you must have well known what margin does, right? Otherwise just for demonstration, let me just use this. If you use margin and you give 10 pixels, okay, it's just going to follow them, and since we just gave a single value, it's going to get applied to all the 4 directions. Okay, so it's going to start off from the left and give it 10 pixels of distance, and 10 pixels, 10 pixels, 10 pixels. If you just want to give it to the left side, you just give left margin left and save. It doesn't apply to the other sides. You're not able to see look about it here, because we just have this one element. When you have many elements, you'll be able to notice that. And similarly, we have margin right, margin bottom, margin top. Okay, we could again use a shorthand notation here for all 4. Like for example, you could tell 50 pixels. Let's just demonstrate that with a small box. You would understand. If I use here a margin of 50 pixels and 10 pixels and say 100 pixels and then 20 pixels. So what this did was it applied the margin properties. Okay, it applied this 50 pixels, okay, which is for the top, and 100 and the 10 pixels which is for the right, and 100 pixels which is for the bottom, and 20 pixels which is for the left. But you may ask me, here it seems like there is 0. That is because first it got applied 50 pixels, okay, to the top, and then what happened was it applied the 10 pixels to the right, and then what it did was it applied the 100 pixels to the bottom. So this box went up 100 pixels from the bottom, so it overwrote the top property, and this one overwrote the right property. Okay, but this is the way you write the margins, with top, right, bottom and left. Okay, so that is with margins. So I think this video is getting longer, so in the next video we'll be talking about paddings. They're also equally important in HTML CSS, so see you there.